Hi, everybody. I'm Candid Frank Stanisci of Candid Frank Live. Welcome to the Spanglish World Network on Zingo TV, channel 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, make sure you rate and leave a comment. Always ask politely. Please leave a good one. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, and also on all smart TVs 2016 forward. Now on Candid Frank Live, joining me is Aaron William Freeland. Hello, Aaron.
Hiya, Frank. How are you today?
Not bad, not bad. I mean, I'm still getting over that game yesterday in Hamilton. But,
That was something.
Well, I guess as always, we try to start with the Canadian Football League because, of course, there's certain priorities that the Canadian Football League has. But let's go to the 7-year-old who is singing the anthem at the Hamilton games at Tim Hortons Field. Very nice.
Yes. So this is Praniska Mishra. It says that she's been singing since the age of 3. She actually won the job to sing the national anthem at all 7 Ticats home games this season. So she was there on Monday to sing it before the Toronto Argonauts game. So that was awesome. I didn't actually have a chance to hear her sing, but I hear she's quite good.
Yeah, I did it Labor Day.
Very nice.
Rene Paredes kicks last second field goal. Stampeders beat the Riders 22-19.
So this looks like it was a week of last minute or last second field goals. He
Sure
hit a 44-yarder, his 5th of the game on the last play of the 4th quarter to finally seal it. So, I mean, he had to redo it too. He hit from 39 and then he hit again from 44.
Yeah, I know. And it's funny, teams will call a timeout before the kicker kicks just to make him do it a second time.
Well, they're hoping to throw his timing off, right? Because there's a sort of a rhythm to it.
It can work. It can work. It's a ploy. It's an advantage you're looking to get. And in football, every advantage is a good one. And in the game between the Alouettes and, of course, the Ottawa Redblacks, the advantage for Ottawa was the number 1 quarterback goes down for Montreal, and then they bring in their backup Schultz, but things didn't quite work out the way Ottawa was hoping, did it?
No, there was a certain amount of optimism, which is understandable after Vernon Adams Jr. went down. Apparently he was stretchered out, yes?
Yes, absolutely.
Schultz then stepped in to lead the winning drive, and Cameron Artis-Payne was the one who ran in the late touchdown. So sometimes it doesn't always work.
Bomber Harris, 2 TDs behind the Bombers' win over the Elks 30-3. Oh my goodness. Winnipeg wins their 6th straight. And let's just say the Elks aren't winning that much.
No, Winnipeg seems to be the class of the league this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they made a decent run of it in the playoffs. Don't want to jinx them by calling them a juggernaut or anything like that, but they certainly seem to be pretty nigh unstoppable at this point in the season.
That is actually very true. Hey, listen, let's call it what it is, right? This is a team that's motivated, talented, and angry.
Now, they've also won 16 of their past 17 games at IG Field, so that's something else to consider as well. They're definitely on a roll here, and it doesn't look like they're stopping anytime soon.
The better the Argos do, the more that win against Winnipeg doesn't look like a fluke.
No, it definitely doesn't. And, I just think it's kind of nice that the Argonauts have now managed to win 2 against Hamilton on Labor Day and again on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
It's one of those. Hey, you called us certified loser boys, and we're taking that a mite personally.
The Hamilton fans are a little ticked because they feel that it went that way. They feel the refs did this with the goalposts.
No, that's not what the video evidence shows, but that's okay.
Well, the problem is, and it's the same thing we talk about goals that count in the National Hockey League. Depending on the angle and all that stuff, it all matters. So you have 2 referees, 1 under each goalpost, and then you have a camera in the middle. So the view you could be confused by the fact that it looks like it's out here. But if you come over to the goalpost, guess what happens? But the Hamilton fans are really hanging on to that one because losing is not their thing, especially
Wow.
to the Argos.
Wow.
No, a thing that they accept
Ah.
freely and openly. No, I love my Cat friends, but they can't handle losing to the Argos because they do it so rarely. And when they do, it's sort of like a terrible reminder that it can happen. Let's go over to the other Canadian game that we love so much, and that is hockey, and in particular the National Hockey League and the Maple Leafs without Austin Matthews at least for the 3 games at the start. It didn't look like that was going to be the case, and now it appears to be.
It appears that there's a bit of a hiccup with his recovery for his rest. So they've decided rather than rush him back into the service for the first game of the season, they're at least going to let him miss the first few. In addition to that, Wayne Simmons collided with Mitch Marner at practice this morning. So Mitch Marner left. Was seen to by training staff. As far as we're aware, it's not anything major, but the team hasn't released anything. They're notoriously tight-lipped about this sort of thing.
Yes.
Pair this with Ilya Mikheyev going down with a wrist injury requiring further surgery in the last preseason game against Ottawa, and he's out for 8 weeks.
Broken thumb.
You've got a whole bunch of players right now that are on injured reserve. Thinking, bear with me here, Frank, because this is interesting. The Leafs might be able to actually put all $19 million into long-term injury reserve and just rest Mikheyev, Marner, and Matthews for the entire season, just like the Lightning did, and then bring them back for the playoffs.
What are the chances of that?
You never know.
No, Toronto can't get away with stuff with the National Hockey League. There are not many teams in the National Hockey League that the National Hockey League treats. They're the big boys. Everybody doesn't like the Maple Leafs, and I understand why. But it is what it is. I just don't think the Leafs could get away with that. They're not an American team in a small market. I'll put it that way to you. Now, with Matthews not playing those 3 games, I was trying to interject between the 2 stories you were telling there, and I'm sorry to go back to Matthews. With the 3 games that he'll miss and maybe more, it might be a good thing. It might be a blessing in disguise. The pressure to score 60 goals, 70 goals, 80 goals, with him not having played 3 games, gives that idea a little bit of a rest.
Yeah, and the thing is, sure, he may compete hard in practice, and he may be working hard during practice and everything like that, but that's nothing compared to an opposing player who's going to try to give you a chop on the wrist whenever they possibly can, going into the corners and an oops, my stick slipped sort of moment. So having him out of the lineup is all right, because we do still have Tavares to slot in at 1C, Kerfoot at 2C, Kampf at 3C, and Amadio at 4C. We are relatively well covered up the middle, so if he's not in the lineup, that's not going to be too much of a problem.
That was a surprise. That was a total surprise. Amadio was a surprise. Many people thought Brooks would be the guy, and to stay if there was a choice between the two. But from what the coach says, Keefe says, he's more versatile. He's able to play the power play, penalty kill, and he's a very responsible player on the ice. So he can fit in a lot of roles. So he's keeping Amadio. So that would be the biggest surprise of training camp. Fair?
Possibly, with the exception that Amadio did play in the Sioux Greyhounds junior team series in their developmental leagues. So he is also a known quantity to the GM and the coach. So it's not really a surprise that he's there, but it is still a bit of a surprise that he's there.
A little Sioux favoritism, huh?
Go back to that well.
So Rogers, just if you see I'm distracted, I was playing with my remote, is because I missed who won, and it looked like Leylah Fernandez lost, and she did. Rogers defeats her, and not in straight sets. In fact, a tiebreaker 6-4. So Fernandez a little disappointed with that. That's hot off the pipe there, folks. Campbell will start for the Leafs.
Yeah, this isn't necessarily a surprise. This is, I think, something that's been expected. Mrazek, while a competent and decent performer, is not the guy that they're going to start with in the first place, just because for this particular coaching staff, Campbell's the known quantity.
Canadians signed Suzuki 8-year extension, $63 million. That's less than $8 million a year.
Yeah. Some are saying that he deserves as much as Marner for the beating and the hurt that he put on the Leafs last season. And to those, I say, sure, I guess. But I am glad that they have an asset that they got for Max Pacioretty locked up long term.
Sens are no closer to signing Tkachuk. They may actually trade him, Aaron.
It is certainly trending that way. The rumblings have not been favorable. I know Brady was looking for term, but I think the Sens might be looking just for bridge at this point, just because they don't apparently have enough money to do what he wants them to do. So we'll have to see how this pans out, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
This is always ugly when a player holds out and when it appears that they can't agree on salary and it doesn't seem like they're having an amenable discussion. Calgary Flames, there's some talk that Jack Eichel could find himself there. I just picked this up after we started the show. I just saw that one. Oh, that's interesting.
Well, Jack Eichel is one of those players that everybody wants to be in on. And I think, pairing him with Gaudreau in Calgary could be beneficial. It'd certainly be interesting to say the least. There is a certain degree of familiarity there with Johnny Gaudreau and Jack Eichel, just because they were both in the U.S. developmental system together. So we'll have to see if anything comes of that. I doubt it will, but rumors are always fun.
Yeah, and speaking of another rumor, I don't know if this is where this is coming from, but there's word coming out of somewhere, maybe even the Edmonton Oilers management office. Just kidding. Oilers will end their 34-year drought this year.
I would like to say in advance, congratulations to Hart and Conn Smythe winner Zach Hyman in his long run with the Edmonton Oilers to the Stanley Cup Finals this year.
Yeah, I hear you. Canucks forward Brandon Suter has been experiencing COVID-19 like symptoms. This comes from their GM.
Yeah. So, and again, this is part of a whole bunch of stories that are coming out here. Now, Jim Benning is saying that Brandon Sutter is still experiencing COVID-19 symptoms. It seems like he's a long hauler, because this is left over from what happened in March last year when they were playing the shortened season in the quasi bubble. So
it appears the Jets have bolstered their defense. Again, more news that this defense is really good, and goaltending could prove very important with Hellebuyck in goal. And on TSN, they all picked Winnipeg as the team that could win the Stanley Cup for Canada.
Well, Hellebuyck has been stellar for them, absolutely stellar for them, and that's evidenced by the fact that every time he goes down with an injury, they tank. So yeah, it's their defense has been upgraded, but at the same time, whoever's backing up Hellebuyck has huge shoes to fill.
Kraken have 5 players in COVID protocol on the eve. That means the day before the game.
Yeah, so this is one of those, and this is actually coming from yesterday, so it's a little bit stale. But Jared McCann, Jonas Donskoy, Marcus Johansson, Jamie Alexiak were all placed on the league's COVID-19 protocol list yesterday. Not to mention Calle Yarncroke.
Oh, that is a well, I'm dying to see how they do. It's going to be tough for them to come up to, the pressure on them to do what Vegas did. Extreme.
Oh, everybody expects that of expansion teams now. Just because Vegas did it once, all of a sudden, every expansion team, that's the bellwether by which they're going to be measured. And it's going to be difficult for them. And I believe they're heading off to Vegas tonight.
Absolutely. Jalen Smerik, target of racist taunt, parts ways with Ukrainian Hockey League club.
So this is in a development that surprises absolutely nobody, based on the absolute lack of support. The Ukrainian club said, "Well, thank you for all that, and good luck in your future endeavors." And they just outright released him. They did suspend Deniskin for 3 games and an additional 10, but he could pay $2,400 per game to get himself out of that fine. So it was basically a toothless sort of thing, and I don't blame Schmerich for wanting out.
It is what it is. Red Sox moving over to baseball, walk off for second straight night, eliminate Rays to reach ALDS. Who would have thought that the Rays could be beaten.
I mean, they had 100 wins during the regular season. The
They
Bo
couldn't.
Sox were
They
coming off
couldn't
a
get 3 in the playoffs. There's a problem.
but the Bo Sox had such a terrible finish to their season too. They almost fell out of contention. So, you know,
Yes. Yeah. They the last week they lost. Remember they lost those. What was it? 3 home games against the Yankees. Was it 3 or 4? Regardless, it was they got blanked in the series. The last series with the Yanks at home.
yeah.
Peterson 3-run home run. Braves blank Brewers for a 2-1 NLDS lead. Good for the Braves.
Yeah, glad to see that. It was nice to see Roddy Telez playing the hero earlier in the
That
season,
former
ex-Blue
Jay.
Jay. But
Yep.
now Joe Peterson keeps enhancing his October nickname with a 3-run pinch hit homer. It's 3-0 victory, so they're up 2-1 in the NLDS.
Okay, it's not soccer. It's not soccer, Aaron. It's 3-0, 3-0, not 3-0. It's not soccer, man.
I know. I can still say nil if I want to.
Nil, you can't. Astros drawing suspicion again. White Sox pitcher insinuates Houston may be cheating.
Here's a thought for the pitcher complaining: throw better.
There's a thought. Yeah. In the NFL, my eyes are on 2 teams. I love the Chiefs, have so for 4 years. And that was before Mahomes came in. And then there's the Bills, who beat the Chiefs this weekend. The Bills are looking real, Aaron.
They are definitely looking like a team that has what it takes to, if not make the playoffs, certainly go all the way. They've been energizing to watch, and certainly that 38-20 game, at Arrowhead,
Yep.
really kind of drives that home.
Absolutely does. Drake says Kawhi Leonard misses Raptors fans, city of Toronto. Uh-huh.
If he really did, he would have stayed.
That's right. That's the way I feel. So I just mentioned it top. Layla Fernandez loses at Indian Wells to Rogers. Let's go over to BC. I've never been so scared in my life, says Golden BC woman, nearly hit by a meteorite.
Indeed. So Ruth Hamilton was actually woken up by her dog, and then there was a crash noise, and then something came through her ceiling. They thought it was debris from a nearby construction site, and they said, nope, we haven't done any blasting, but we did see something up in the sky, and it turns out, yeah, there's a meteorite on her bed.
Wow. Came close. Americans quit their jobs at a record pace in August. This is true also, in the UK. Those are 2 stories that are connected as far as employment is concerned, Aaron. We're finding more and more that people are becoming a little more discerning about where they work and for how much.
Indeed. And I know that the current narrative is that COVID has damaged the economy and that nobody wants to work because government benefits are so good. But I'm starting to think maybe it may be something to do with the businesses themselves and the fact that they aren't necessarily paying as well as potentially they could. And people are taking that to heart.
Holding out means you think there's a better offer somewhere, right?
Exactly.
And that's the thing, when we talk about all the jobs that were lost, and now the jobs are coming back, and there's people being offered opportunities where they weren't there before. And they didn't recognize the opportunities because they're basically living their life the way they think they could only, right? And now what we're finding is employers, the jig is up. Businesses make money. People kind of say, you know what? I know the whining about businesses and the pandemic, but the pandemic didn't discriminate just against businesses. People didn't work. Things weren't going well for everybody. But what ends up happening, I think, and what has happened is people who work are beginning to think that they deserve more, or is what I'm doing worth it? I don't know if it's the money that people are given. We all know that when it comes to unemployment, no country, I don't care what anyone says, they don't give people enough money not to work. They might give them enough to live for a little while not working, but it can't go on for long.
No, it's true. Everybody who claims that the government benefits are more than minimum wage, therefore, why would people come back? don't really understand how the entire system works. I mean, yeah, great, you're getting $500 a week, but that's still taxed. You still have to pay taxes on that. So it's
And you
not
have to
$2,000 a month free and clear. You
and you
still
have
owe
to
money.
spend money. And
Yeah,
you have to
exactly.
spend money. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
I added this one. Google Tim McGraw.
uh-oh. Do I really want to?
Tim McGraw. Yeah. Tim McGraw jump from on stage to confront hecklers during tense concert exchange. So while he was doing the concert, somebody got to him. Somebody pushed a button. Or as they say in America, somebody pushed a button. A button. I forget how they say it. It's like when they make fun of us about.
Oh, well, apparently he forgot some lyrics.
And he got razzed about it.
So,
Oh my goodness. Okay,
I mean, if
Ontario
you want a
expands.
peacock over that.
Ontario expands capacity for arenas. This isn't in the sports section because they don't for restaurants and gyms, and that makes a lot of people less than happy.
It seems sort of counterintuitive. I would rather expand capacity in a gym or a restaurant that has fewer people than in a place like a hockey arena where there's thousands. But
is there a reason? I know you're falling short. You're all of a sudden dead. I hear silence. Or can you hear silence? Yeah, I guess no, you can't hear silence because it doesn't say anything or make any noise. There's a definite silence falling over your persona there. All of a sudden you stopped. And let me continue for you. Maybe it depends who's asking that their places be open.
I think it kind of depends on who signs the biggest checks. And right now, Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment are the ones that do that. Don't get me wrong. I understand perfectly in having enhanced attendance for places like Skydome where you can open the roof and BMO Field, which is outdoors. But indoor locations,
sorry, I didn't mean to trap you because what I was going to say, because you jumped in there, what I was going to say is that MLSE and companies like that have worked very hard to create an image of caring about it. And I mean sincerely, where they have gotten to the point where they've told players, if you don't get vaccinated, you don't play. So, they have come out there. These big companies, especially when it comes to sports, they have a lot of money at stake, and they have a louder voice and they can be more publicly heard. These poor gyms and restaurants, they could put a sign up there saying, oh, well, we're firing people who don't get vaccinated, but who cares, right? Because it's just a small amount of people, right? It's not, it's the old story where, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? And if it's a really big wheel that makes a lot of squeaky sounds, it gets greased.
And that's definitely what seems to be the case here. And again, it's a case of big corporations trying to engineer public policy. I've got an issue with that. Some people don't. But
hey, listen, don't point at me either way. I'm on the fence on that one.
Oh, I'm not saying you're somebody that would advocate for something like that, Frank. I'm just saying there are people out there who kind of believe it's a good thing.
I might be. I haven't thought about it. And this is the wrong time to think about it with only a minute left in the show. Quebec nurses order says it will suspend license for unvaccinated members. What did we just say? What did we just say?
You know what? Not getting vaccinated is a choice and it's an action. And actions have consequences. And if you're adulting, like you should adult, then your actions have consequences.
As they do. Aaron, that was awesome. Great show, buddy.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Aaron. For Aaron William Freeland, I'm Candid Frank Stanisci. Thank you for watching Candid Frank Live, Aaron, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The show can also be heard on the Spanglish World Radio Network for Candid Frank Live, other news, entertainment, and sports programming we offer. Please check out SpanglishWorld.ca. Spanglish World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Thanks for watching, everybody. Ciao for now.